You are listening to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit, where you will discover how to be fit, sexy, and energized, even if you are a busy mom. With your host, top female fat loss and hormone specialist, Dr. Michelle Sands.
Hey mamas, Dr. Michelle here, and today I'm sitting down with a really special woman. Her name is Alexa, and she is the founder of Simple Roots Wellness. Now, Alexa has like a real passion and a fire. I met her over the summer at an event, and I could tell from across the room that she was just really excited about what she did. And I got to talking to her, and I really liked her philosophy of really enjoying food and making it simple, taking all of the emotion and all of the anger and fear and disappointment, taking all that out of eating and just enjoying food, getting down to the basics, listening to your body. And so I have her here on the summit today, and we are going to be talking about a different way of eating. I'm going to talk about her approach to eating. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hi, mamas. Welcome back to the Happy, Healthy, Hot Mom Summit. Today we have Alexa Schirm. She's a nutritionist and the founder of Simple Roots Wellness. Hi, Alexa. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here. So today I just wanted to introduce you to the audience and kind of ask you a little bit about how you go about nutrition and how it's changed over the years for you.
Yeah, so I am co-founder or founder of simplerootswellness.com, and I originally started Simple Roots just to help people do what they wanted to do, lose weight, be healthier, and just have that life that they always wanted. What I was finding, though, is that regardless of what weight people were at, they still weren't happy, and they still wanted more. And so I kind of changed my approach over the years to less counting, less points, and just try to get into more realistic, how can we do this for the rest of our life? Because if it's not realistic, more than likely it's just a fad and it's something that's going to go just as quickly as it came. And so just trying to help people and teach people realistic lifestyle changes that they can do for the rest of their life. And that includes enjoying what we eat.
Yeah, see, you're so true. When we have to count and measure and obsess, it kind of does take some of the pleasure out of just eating and enjoying a meal with your family. But I know a lot of my clients get scared when they don't have those tools, that when they're counting calories or when they're measuring, they feel safe. Whereas how do they have control yet be able to enjoy?
Yeah, so I try to switch the approach to what tools can we have and instead look at our very best tool, which is the body we've been given. Our bodies are our smartest tool that we could ever use. And everyone is so different that just putting a requirement or a recommendation on something, it just puts everyone in a box. And one box obviously is not a one-size-fits-all. If it were, we would be a healthy nation. And so instead of listening to all these requirements, I just really encourage my audience and my clients to really look at their own body and listen to it. We are intuitive eaters at birth. You know, we can look at a child, like think of a baby. We all have babies. We're all moms. And, you know, you can't console a hungry baby, right? Like it just isn't possible. If they're hungry and they want food now. But it's the same thing. You can't feed a child that isn't hungry. Like they will just refuse it or spit it out. And so we are born with this intuitive sense that our body knows best. It knows what it needs and it knows what it doesn't need. We've just lost that over the years. We've kind of retrained our body to listen more to the outside world than our inner body. And so just trying to make that switch to understand that we can trust our body and our body wants trust. And that when we have this relationship with our body where it can trust us and we can trust it, that it's going to function and it's going to stay at a healthy weight and it's going to work at its best, then we kind of have this harmony instead of constantly battling against our inner body. You know, I think most people just live in this battle against their body. Their body's not doing what they want it to, but to your body, you're not doing what it wants. And so it's just this constant struggle. And oftentimes our body most likely will always win in the long term. It's always going to, you know, stay at the weight it wants or whatever it feels safest at. Or diseases are going to develop simply because we haven't allowed it to function at its best. And so really our body knows best. And so I try to switch the focus over to how are you feeling? If you feel bad, it's probably not a good sign. Or just trying to link symptoms or things that we like to mask as maybe that was really related to what we put into our body or how we treated our body. So kind of going back to the basics. And I feel like if we can get back into that in-tuned eating sense and really value our health and value the food that we put in our body, it kind of changes the whole perspective. Like food can become fun. It can be something that's enjoyed. Kids really do enjoy eating, but there's no emotion tied to eating in children. Like we've created the emotion. So kind of trying to take our body and putting the emotion more back onto how our body feels and how we function and how our health is, how much joy we have in our life, and take the emotion away from food. So food is just life-giving. It's not something we do when we're sad or we're stressed or we're happy. And instead, it's just life-bearing. So that's kind of how I kind of try to, and that's so hard though for people. We want rules and regulations, and I can give those out all day. But unless we choose, kind of make that choice and understand and trust the process, it's really going to be difficult.
That's so true. And yeah, I really can understand how people can get so far away from being able to listen to their bodies. I read a statistic that we're actually, in the United States and Canada, we're two of the most overweight countries, but the most undernourished countries. So we're eating so much food, but we're not nourishing our body with the nutrients it needs. And so I think the body is still asking for that nutrition, and we're just seeing that as hunger or cravings. Whereas if you're able to be intuitive enough and listen to your body and kind of intuitively know what it needs in real whole foods, then we wouldn't have those cravings and that hunger. Unfortunately, like so much of the food products, I say food products out there that people are eating are so they're hyper flavor. People are just used to getting like this big burst of salty flavor, a big burst of artificial flavor, and they're eating their taste buds. So I think it's gotten us so far away from being intuitive about what we're eating, and our body doesn't even recognize sometimes what we need to eat. So how would someone go from maybe just being totally unable to listen to their body signals because they're putting all these chemicals into their body to being able to now listen to their body? Like, is there some kind of a system someone can follow or a detox they need to go through to be able to actually hear the messages their body is telling them?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of everything. I mean, I definitely think it's good to detox our body of all of that. Because if we're congested, if we have this clog of junk in our system, our body's just never going to function at its best. So a detox, a cleanse is always good. Doing it the right way. We're not just talking about colon cleanses but something that is really good and really does help flush the body of all those toxins can be really beneficial. But I think it is a strategic process. It's not just setting goals. It's not just stating things that you would like to happen, but it's really coming up with a strategic plan that can be achieved. So sometimes it's, setting the end goal, but the end goal, it seems so far away and so unmanageable. I know I find myself stuck here just in everyday life with my business and life going on, let alone my health, that it just seems so unachievable that we become overwhelmed. We can't get there. And so it's kind of setting your overall goal, but coming up with a strategic short-term plan that can help you start to see change and start to see process. So I like to tell people just to work on one thing, one habit change, because if we make it a habit, it becomes the unconscious then, something we don't even have to think about doing, we just do it. And so one small change, and once you feel like that is easy, then go on to the next one. So to try and prevent overwhelm, start with something small. Most of the time with my clients, I say don't even start with the food that you eat because that's overwhelming. Maybe start with the how or the when. And in my free guide that I'm going to give you, it's going to talk mostly about the how and the when. Because remarkably, if we can change when we eat and how we eat, it really will change what you eat because it will naturally re-regulate your hormones to actually crave healthier things. So in a weird roundabout way, we can overcome cravings without even changing what we eat. And it can start simply by how you eat and when you eat. So really simple changes that don't create overwhelm.
Can you go into
Yeah.
a little bit more about like how we eat? So I make sure that the audience understands, like how we eat. I just put it in my mouth, I chew it, and I swallow it, right? What do you
Right.
mean by how we eat? And then when we eat, I know in society, like a lot of times we're signaled to eat lunch at noon and dinner at 6 p.m., whether we're hungry
Right.
or not. So how would you approach that as far as if you have a family and how that's going to work?
Right. Yeah. So we'll just start with the when we eat because I think this is a little bit easier than the how we eat. Again, these are all personal factors, but the how we eat is technically eating within a set period of time throughout the day. We have access to food 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. We can really eat at any point, but that's not really what our body functions best at. When we talk about nutrition and just our health of our body, I like to think of it in how our body's hormones regulate because we can no matter how healthy you eat or how much you exercise, you can't overpower our hormones. So we really want to start working with our hormones. And so I like people to eat, just simply start with what's called the 12-hour window or eating all of their food intake within 12 hours and not going outside of that. So allowing 12 hours for our body to rest and digest, essentially to take that time to heal and recuperate and get rid of toxins. And so it means if you eat breakfast at 7, you need to be finished eating all of your food by 7 p.m. Not doing this late night snacking or midnight food to really try to stay focused. And so how I like to do this is, I'm a mom of 3 girls too. I get life is crazy. So I take that meal that our family tends to eat together, which for us is dinner time. And we try to eat, around 5:30, 6 at the latest. And so I move my breakfast in correspondence to that meal that is usually set in stone. Could even be, with the holidays coming up or, with, family gatherings that you might have, whatever it is if you, if you know you're going to eat later at night, if you have a work party or a work get together that's not going to start until 7:30 at night, you probably won't be finished eating until 8:30 or 9. Just move your breakfast back that morning until 8:30 or 9 or the next morning. So you kind of have that room in there. So it's not something that necessarily has to be set in stone, although consistency, our body really likes consistency. So trying to do it at the same time most days is going to be beneficial, but just trying to stick within that 12-hour window. So knowing it's not set in stone, that there's a little bit of room, but always trying to allow 12 hours. So again, if you don't eat supper until 8 p.m., you're not finished till 8:30, just try not to eat breakfast until 8:30, even if that means taking it to work with you or, eating it later in the car, just having that plan, planning ahead a little bit.
That makes a lot of sense. I often have my clients do that, and we call it intermittent fasting, and the 12
Yeah.
hours. It's just such a natural way for your body to be able to process, because we're putting things in and then we don't ever think about, well, we have to give your body time to process that stuff. And,
Right.
we just keep putting in, then it just makes sense that we would have digestive issues,
Right.
Acne and all kinds of different problems that our hormones get confused, that they don't have any time to process. It makes a lot of sense. And personally, I'm a kind of a later person. I like to do a lot of my work, the research my clients at night. So I do that. I eat my breakfast. I don't even really eat like a technically breakfast. I start eating at 11 p.m. because a lot of times I'll be eating late and I know I want like that late night kind of snack. And so it works for me. And then, because it can work for anybody. If you're an early morning person, you can just start at 5:30 and then end at 5:30. So it's actually a great tool for everybody to use. And like you said, consistency, like just think about when you went back to the example of children. Not only do they intuitively know when they're full and when they're hungry, but they like consistency too. Like, my son, he knows what time he wants his bottle, and every morning it's pretty much the same time. So we just need to go back and be childlike.
Right, exactly, yeah. They don't even think about it. It's easy for them, right?
Exactly. And then that's the when we eat, and now the how we eat. What do you have?
Yeah. So the how goes back to more of course, being in tune to what we're eating. So trying not to just sit down mindlessly eating because that can get away from us. I always say if you're hungry enough to eat, you're probably hungry enough to eat without distraction too. So, we're the society that likes to multitask, but the reality is none of us can multitask well. And that even includes our body. Our body doesn't like distraction, although eating is supposed to be a social time, but, being mindful of when you're eating, of course, we hear that all the time. But I really think the how for me boils down to what foods you pair together. So trying to have a variety of foods, not just eating the same things, or, in the diet world, we tend to eat even our health, what we would classify our health foods, our fruits and vegetables by themselves. And while that seems like a good idea, they're just not filling on their own. There's no satiety there. And so one of the ways that we can just simply be healthier or consume less food overall is just being satisfied with what we're eating, not having this constant hunger that we're always fighting, and we live in this misery because we're always hungry, but we're scared to satisfy that. And so just trying to pair all of our major food groups together, or all of our major macronutrient food groups together. So our carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Every time you eat, just try to focus on having a variety. Essentially, if you have a fruit, make sure that you have something that's a protein and fat, whether that's nuts and seeds or some full-fat dairy or something to go along with that to provide more satiety there so it's longer lasting. And then it allows your body more absorption, so you actually gain more nutrients from that simple thing of just not sitting down and eating an apple, even though we know that's healthy, it's a fruit. But really to our body, it's not satisfying enough. Those carbohydrates, even though they're fruits and vegetables, are very short-lived in our system. And so having something with a little bit more substance to do that. So again, it kind of goes outside of not necessarily having to eat at noon because it's lunchtime, but maybe instead of having a morning snack, you just eat half your lunch in the morning. And then in the afternoon when you get hungry, you have the other half. So it's kind of breaking up your lunch into multiple meals. So it kind of looks different for everyone. Some people are really good about 3 meals a day. And other people, I feel like I'm one that needs to eat more often throughout the day, just smaller. So I think, again, it just goes back to your body type and what works best for you, not trying to put anyone into this bubble or this box that we're all the same. So, yeah. So that's more of the how.
It's like figuring out not only what size meal works for you and frequency, but it's also figuring out the ratio of macronutrients to include in that meal.
Right.
And
right.
what I've noticed is once people get that and they figure that out, then they don't find a need to snack on the apple later because they are satisfied once they find the correct nutrient levels. And yeah, and unfortunately, the media seems to hype, low carb right now before it was low fat. And that's so confusing for people because it's different for everybody. And in order to find that ratio, you kind of have to do a little bit of testing on yourself. Maybe start with breakfast. I have clients start with breakfast and maybe play around with the macronutrient levels, maybe more fat one day or more carbs one day. And they eventually will find that ratio that works for them. And they're so surprised that it's the quantity of food is still the same. They still have the same size breakfast, but maybe their macronutrients are situated in a different way. And then they come to me and like, oh my God, I didn't have a snack, at 10 o'clock because I was still full. And it's just so empowering for people to find that. But like going back to what you said, it's definitely you need to be more mindful about what you're eating and you have to listen to your body's cues in order to figure that out. So if I can give one tip to the moms watching today, they know that they are not being mindful. Maybe they know that they are not listening to what their body is saying. What would be a first step that you would give them to get back into that mindful eating?
I always give the intermittent fasting or that 12-hour window. I think it's a great first step. I think that opens the door to how your body really wants to function. And if it allows 12 hours to rest, we just naturally make better choices if we stick within that 12-hour window. And I think that 12-hour window makes you be more mindful across the board of, hey, if you can't eat within that 12-hour window, why can't you? Are you starving before bed? Maybe you didn't eat enough earlier in the day. We have this mentality that I was really good all day and then I came home and I was I binged or I was naughty or
Right.
whatever it was. And a lot of times that's just your body is just so hungry. So we have to feed it well and be well fed, but well fed on the right things. So I'm always a quality girl over a quantity girl, looking at the quality more than quantity. But my number one tip for almost everyone is just to start out and eat within a 12-hour window. I think that is vital to how our body functions and how we can overcome cravings and just be more mindful in general. Because a lot of our mindfulness or mindlessness comes after, after the kids go to bed or while they're napping. And so just being mindful of when you're eating, I think that's what I would say.
That's awesome. That's a great tip. And I know you have some extra tips that you're going to offer to our audience via the free gift that we have the link right below this video. So can you tell them a little bit about what's in that free gift that they'll learn in there?
Yeah, so I'm going to give away my 5 twisted nutrition tips that are a little bit different. I'm a little bit rebellious at heart, and so it kind of rebels against our typical nutrition principles. Not saying that they're all wrong, but maybe making them more realistic. And so I have those 5 tips that you can definitely take and implement, and it'll make huge changes. I've had people do these tips alone and never need personal nutrition counseling, or, they just feel so much better. And so those 5 tips, and then I've also provided 10 healthy, family-friendly recipes.
Yay.
I'm all about realistic health, but I think one thing is that health starts in the kitchen. And so just kind of being a master of your own kitchen and learning big, bold flavors that are healthy to help overcome the convenience, and making them convenient by helping to show you meal planning. So I try to weekly update people on meal plans through Simple Roots, give them quick family-friendly recipes and how they can actually prep that for the entire week, which saves so much time and so much money because food isn't wasted, or you're not at the grocery store every day, you're picking up something on your way home. So just trying to be mindful and realistic with my meal plans and my recipes. So I've included 10 healthy recipes that hopefully your family will love just as much as mine does.
That sounds so wonderful. It's definitely something our moms can definitely use. I mean, we can never have enough recipes and
Right.
new things that we could try to introduce to our families. And the meal planning is so, so important. And, any
Right.
tips we can get on that is always so helpful. So it's been so great having you here. I think we have a lot of
Thank you so
information.
much.
Our moms can start, we'll check in the Facebook group and see who's intermittent fasting, who's going their 12 hours. And and they can find you at simplerootswellness.com, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. And I look forward to speaking with you.
Thank you so much.
All right, have a great day.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, we're done.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you received a lot of value out of this interview. I know that I did. I want you to open up to the possibility of making this new year the greatest opportunity that you have had so far to improve your life. This is about breaking out of paradigms. It's about learning the art of living. It is about honoring who you are as a woman as you discover who you are as a mother. It is about taking care of your body, mind, and spirit so that you can take better care of your family and be a shining example, a role model for your children so that they can grow up to be healthy, happy, and successful. I promise to continue to bring you educational, empowering, and inspiring content to help you achieve the body that you dream about and the life that you are meant to live. Stay tuned for more value-packed interviews, and be sure to check out all the resources on my website, metabolicmama.com. Until next time, wishing you a happy, healthy, hot day. Take care, mamas.